So now I'm going to edit this product shot. I am not going to crop it yet for this photo. I just want to see what it looks like without the crop. So let's go straight into our adjustments. Definitely want to add some color, some vibrance to the Holga itself, but at the same time making the whites just more pure white. So I'm going to actually start there for this image. So going to the whites, I'm going to bring up the whites a lot. I'm just going to go all the way for now. That makes the Holga itself a little bit too bright in some areas. So I'm going to go to my highlights, bring back some of my highlights, and then go into my blacks to increase the contrast just a little bit, dragging down the blacks. So let's see the before and after already. We can see that the whites are a little bit more pure white, which I like. So I'm going to leave it at that. We can also go back to our contrast and just increase the contrast a little bit more, making those whites even whiter and those darks a little bit darker and punchier. Next, we have our color effects. Temperature and tint seem to be spot on. For vibrance and saturation, let's go ahead and boost the saturation just a little bit to make that Holga pop a little bit more. I don't want to go too much because when you add a lot of vibrance or saturation to white, it can start to have some color in it, which I definitely don't want. Next, for clarity and dehaze, I'm going to add a little bit of clarity to make sure that our Holga itself is sharp and clear and detailed. That's what you want in a product photo. Dehaze, I'm not going to add. Sharpening, nah. Luminance noise, I have a little bit of noise. That's probably from the contrast that I added or the clarity. But adding a little bit of noise reduction helps make it a little cleaner. Cool, so that's a pretty quick edit. Before, after, before, after. One thing I want to check is with our frames, if the white vignette will help. Yes, definitely. Because what I want, it's hard for you to see before, after, without vignette, with vignette. I want the edges to be white so that when I post this on like social media, for example, the edges are clean. So I'm definitely going to add that white vignette. I do want to crop in just a little bit. So let's just crop in just a tiny bit like so. Just like that. Make sure it's centered, which I want for this photo. And that looks a lot better. So let's see the before, after. Okay, so now I'm going to save it and I'll show you what I mean. And when I open it up, I can already see that there's a little bit of shadow in that top left and top right corner. So I'm going to go actually back into my edits. Let's go to our light adjustments. And we might actually have to just take our overall exposure up even more to make sure those whites are completely overblown. Actually, maybe bringing up those highlights even more. The whites are already up all the way. Maybe I bring down the shadows just a little bit more so that's not completely overexposed. But I do want that white to just be completely pure white. Increasing the contrast can help. Actually, that's looking pretty good. Usually these product images are pretty contrasty. That's looking a lot better. So now let's hit the export button. And that's looking a lot better. So let's save it to our camera roll. Now if I open my camera roll, we can really see how these edges are. So this has pure white edges now. Let's look at the other one. This was the original. This is the edit. Look at those pure white edges that we got using that vignette, also just the exposure adjustments. And remember, this was shot with an iPhone 6. So it's pretty amazing what you can do. Compare that to this photo, which is an unedited photo shot with the Fuji X-T2. Obviously, the X-T2 will have more detail, but if you're doing something for social media or web, your smartphone is awesome. So I'm just stoked about this edit, and I'm just stoked about Photoshop Express in general. I hope you've enjoyed this section so far. If you have any questions, let us know. We would love to see your edits of these photos. So please go ahead and work through them in Photoshop Express, post them online, tag us, share them with us in the course, wherever you can, and we'll let you know what we think. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and we'll see you in another lesson.